Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. The headlines. President Tinubu visits Beijing, China to explore areas of collaboration and improve bilateral cooperation between the two countries. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed visits Sudan, appeals for resolution to the civil war. And federal governments to release $800 million for construction of new electricity substations and distribution networks under the Presidential Power Initiative. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Beijing, China for his official visit. While in Beijing, the president will engage with host President Xi Jinping on how to improve bilateral cooperation between the two countries, after which a memorandum of understanding will be signed. Besides his meetings with Chinese business leaders, President Tinubu will visit Huawei Technologies and the China Rail and Construction Corporation as Nigeria looks to construct the Abuja-Ibadan rail line. State House correspondent Musbah Danwahab reports that the president, who is also the chairman ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, will on Thursday, 5th September, participate in the opening ceremony forum on China-Africa cooperation at the Great Hall. And ahead of the 2024 China-Africa Summit, Kolo Mohammed tells us what to expect.
African leaders converge on China's capital, seeking funds for big-ticket infrastructure projects as they eye mounting power competition over resources and influence on the continent. Tang Jianyong, a professor of Beijing's Tsinghua University, says China can benefit from Africa's growth. He said China and Africa are partners. China benefits as Africa develops.
For 2020, actually the China-Africa cooperation, they have quite similar pattern. So large infrastructure and very rapid industrialization. But after these 6 years, then people really need to reflect on the older model because the old approach is no longer suitable for this new situation.
Analysts fear African nations could be forced to pick sides as African countries lack leverage against China.
But at least to build new energy infrastructure on renewable technology, which China can provide. So that could be one area where both sides can actually achieve very tangible results.
Chinese Belt and Road Initiative includes all global nations who are interested in the program. These, President Xi Jinping of China plans to expand going forward. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris is in Bali, Indonesia, to represent President Bola Tinubu as head of Nigeria's delegation to the second Indonesia-Africa Forum. Salihu Guanarar gives us an update ahead of the event.
Nigeria and Indonesia are like two sides of the same coin with decades of friendly business relationships. Indonesia-African Forum is another opportunity for Nigeria to boost its networking for economic growth and create more jobs.
Nigeria is open for business. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been very consistent in that. He has said that all investors are welcome to Nigeria. We are putting a Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council to help businesses outside Nigeria to come and flourish in our country. Nigeria, more than ever before, is ready for businesses. Unlike before, you don't have fear that your monies or your capital could be trapped into the country. Once you come, you do your businesses, provided it is within our legal procedures. Whatever profit you make, you take out. So we encourage everyone, not just Indonesians, all investors around the world to come to Nigeria.
The President's delegation assured that the current administration remains resolute to promote even business opportunities by would-be investors in Nigeria.
This is part of the reason why we are here, to deepen that collaboration, to deepen that understanding, so that there will be a reciprocal business relationship between Nigeria and Indonesia. Nigerian businesses are expected to also come here. And like I said earlier, over 50 businesses of Indonesians are already operating in Nigeria. We want to see that reciprocated here. We want to see Nigerian businesses come here. At the end of the day, Nigeria and Indonesia will all be better for it.
In addition to the main event, Mohammed Idris assured that Nigeria's investment potential will equally feature prominently through bilateral engagement with relevant investors. In Bali, Indonesia, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has called for a resolution to the civil war in Sudan. She was speaking during her visit to Adre, a border crossing community with Chad. Musa Baba Aliu has details.
Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary of the United Nations, is visiting Sudan for the first time since the beginning of the civil war. She was received at Adre, a border community with Chad, by government and UN officials. Her mission is to inspect the United Nations food aid distribution program for refugees and displaced persons. She welcomed the food aid reaching Sudan, but said it is insufficient. She said the UN was able to finance about 25 to 30% of the needs, and that commitments made by governments need to be fulfilled so that the UN can help the people of the world who are in need.
We did not succeed in Sudan yet. This is a small amount. We did not succeed in Chad. It's a small amount. So the crises in the world are many, and what we need for the international community to do is to bring more resources. Today we are funding maybe 18 to 25, 30% of the needs. So commitments made by governments need to be fulfilled so that we can help the people of the world in need, those that are in need. Gaza is in need. We need a ceasefire. It's very important for us to stop the war in Sudan. There is a political process, but at the same time, the generosity of Chad, the floods, the needs of Chad also need to be taken care of with the refugees that they are taking into their host communities.
The World Food Programme said in a communique on Thursday that its trucks have transported more than 630 metric tons, enough for nearly 55,000 people from Chad into Darfur region. Aid groups say the fighting has prevented humanitarian supplies from reaching the 25 million Sudanese facing severe hunger. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In the meantime, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has called for greater European commitment to security and overcoming past unwillingness to provide for its own defense. She has repeatedly cited Russia's invasion of Ukraine as evidence that the bloc must shed illusions and think about the Union as an essential security project. Haman Jabani reports.
Speaking in the Czech capital to attendees of the annual GlobeSec Security Conference, the returning head of the European Union executive arm laid out a case for European solidarity against Russian and other threats and a systemic overhaul of European defense, warning that the next half of the decades could be high risk. The 65-year-old German von der Leyen, who was endorsed for a fresh 5 years in July, vowed to appoint the bloc's first full-fledged defense commissioner to the incoming European Commission, whose respective nomination from each of the 27 member states are ongoing. Von der Leyen criticized outsiders arguing against arming Ukraine and warns against premature talks that neither Moscow nor Kiev seems prepared to conduct 2.5 years into full-scale Russian invasion.
We have worked on a structural response to this crisis. We invested massively in renewable energy, and we are investing in the fuels of the future, like, for example, clean hydrogen, and the result speaks for itself. In the first half of this year, 50% of all our electricity generation came from renewables. Wind and solar generated more electricity than all fossil fuels combined. So for me, innovation and competitiveness are not only an essential part of our future prosperity, but they are also an essential and crucial part of our long-term security.
We are facing a long conflict with an uncertain outcome. Time can, however, work in Ukraine's and in our favor, but only if we pull ourselves together and learn the right lessons from the past 2.5 years. At this point, we are dealing with Russia that still believes it has no reason to change its course of action. To achieve a just and lasting peace, we must continue to provide sufficient and predictable support to Ukraine.
Russian forces currently control about 1/5 of Ukrainian territory, but Ukrainian troops now claim to control more than 1,200 square kilometers of Russian territory since a surprise Ukrainian invasion in Kursk began last month. The three-day GlobeSec Security Conference, which brings together European and global leaders and other senior officials, ends on 1st September. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Irregular migration grows in Europe, and Gabon's interim president receives new constitution for the country's future. Kula Mohammed has details.
In the North African country of Tunisia, where the European Union has interfaced with the National Guard to launch an operation to intercept migrants hoping to reach Europe by crossing the Mediterranean Sea. Monthly, the National Guard arrests smugglers and detain thousands of illegal migrants that will do just about anything to reach Europe. Most migrants now end up held back in the city of Sargs, where their statuses will pass only for slaves. Tunisia had become a key launching pad. The crackdown here is a record number of crossing into Europe. Lampedusa is the first entry point for many migrants. This monument is called the Door to Europe. While migrants frequently pass through Lampedusa, authorities in Europe were forced to declare a state of emergency when thousands of irregular migrants arrived the island in just 24 hours. Arrival from Tunisia by migrants in small boats, spending days at sea after paying heavily for the trip.
3 days in the water is terrible. I wish I can live here today and go to a better place because I've suffered a lot in this journey.
We are here to support our family. We are here to work. We are not here for joke. We want to make our family proud. We want to make everything easier for them. For feeding, education, our younger sisters are there, our younger brothers are there. Things are hard for them.
The Migrants Reception Center, designed to accommodate 400 people, but at peak of arrivals, over 7,000 people converge here. Most of the migrants are young men, a few young women and children from sub-Saharan Africa. And in Gabon, a new constitution designed for the country's future has been handed the interim leader. The referendum on the new constitution is due to take place before the end of the year, even though the people of Gabon say they have very little knowledge of what it contains at the moment. Main changes, as announced by the Minister of Institutional Reforms, include the abolishment of the position of Prime Minister and a 7-year term for a president, renewable ones. The text said a president found attempting to amend these provisions will be found guilty of high treason. The president may dissolve parliament and can also be impeached by members of the parliament and senators on the event of high treason. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Heading back to these shores now, and the federal government is collaborating with state commissioners for youth to provide job opportunities to millions of Nigerian youth towards promoting long-term investment initiatives for their future development. Minister of Youth Development, Jamila Ibrahim Bio, said this during a consultative meeting with commissioners of youth developments from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Olayinka Ojo reports.
This meeting is to engage with youth commissioners across the country as well as build synergy in line with federal government's initiatives such as Youth Investment Fund, Presidential Initiative for Youth Enterprise Clusters, and the ongoing review of the National Youth Policy that profile local solutions to national challenges. With 4 strategic areas of governance, skills, cultural and behavioral change, and human capital development at the heart of the meeting, Minister of Youth Development says to ensure youth benefit from the 110 billion naira Youth Investment Fund, mechanisms are already in place.
Robust monitoring and evaluation framework has been designed, and to ensure that loan recovery and of course risk management using clusters, we will be able to manage the risk that come with giving out facilities to young people. With the rate of recovery being very low.
For the commissioners, government sustainability approach of accountability, transparency, and monitoring are necessary.
One is all about inclusiveness, and number two is all about delivering the mandate to the entire youth.
Youth empowerment is important. When we empower our youth, we empower the nation.
The meeting also observed that out of the 12 billion naira youth investment fund released by previous administration for youth empowerment, only 150 million naira have so far been recovered from beneficiaries. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break. More reports in a moment. Stay with us.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira, and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation, and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng to find out how you can benefit from switching to CNG. This is the renewed hope.
Welcome back. The federal government has formalized a collaboration with the African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership with a view to improving the food security in the country. The initiative was signed under the supervision of the Office of the Vice President and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Musa Baba Ali reports.
The Agricultural Input Resilience Program is designed to identify and address critical challenges of availability, affordability, and quality of essential farm inputs across Nigeria. The program will be implemented under the supervision of the Office of the Vice President and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
Our collective aim is to achieve domestic food security, enhance export growth, and create sustainable job opportunities. This initiative aligns seamlessly with the strategic goals of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, where they emphasize the importance of understanding our diverse landscapes through stakeholder mapping.
The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding marked another milestone, symbolizing the collective efforts to strengthen Nigeria's agricultural sector. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, said the program will play a crucial role in shaping future government policies in the area of input supply.
We will begin to now decipher and bring out the core areas of need that the farmers want, and we can begin now to more or less target the people who ought to benefit from what we are doing.
Also, there's a need for more capacity development amongst those who distribute fertilizer. So agri-dealers or agri-retailers, hub agri-dealers have to be capacitated to be able to play more of a role in extension to help the farmers understand what is the appropriate product to be used on the appropriate crop.
The initiative is believed will enable the Nigerian government to leverage partners' expertise to build a more resilient agricultural sector. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo has ordered an immediate investigation into a disturbing video report on social media alleging that inmates at Afokang Custodial Center in Calabar are being subjected to inhumane treatments, including being served poorly cooked beans as breakfast. A statement from the ministry indicates that the minister views this incident as a serious breach of the standards of care and dignity to which inmates are entitled, and has directed a comprehensive and urgent investigation into the matter, vowing to hold persons responsible accountable. Tunji-Ojo warns that any lapses in the quality of food, sanitation and welfare of inmates will not be tolerated, adding that the service must ensure inmates are treated with dignity and respect that they deserve. The minister promises that the investigation will be made public and necessary disciplinary action will be taken against the perpetrators. Now, to address cases of load rejection by electricity distribution companies, the federal government says $800 million will be released for construction of new substations and distribution networks under the Presidential Power Initiative. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says the money will ensure the construction of substations for Lot 2 substations and distribution lines for Lot 3 at the cost of $400 million each. The Power Minister, who is on a facility tour of a power company in China, explains that Lot 2 of the project covers Benin, Port Harcourt and Enugu distribution companies' franchise areas, while Lot 3 covers Abuja, Kaduna, Jos and Kano distribution companies' franchise areas. Industry records show that recently the distribution companies rejected 1,400 megawatts of power, the development which the Power Minister laments, more so as federal government sustains commitment to ramping up generation to 6,000 megawatts by December this year. The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and the Corporate Affairs Commission under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investments are consolidating the Women Empowerment Program through subsidized registration. The partnership was reached during a meeting of the two organizations in Abuja. Ngozi Teknikio reports.
The partnership Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohanenye, explains is expected to facilitate the registration of the point-of-sale businesses for women under the 37,000 POS Empowerment Initiative of the ministry. Building the financial capacity of women to impact positively on their families is an initiative, she says, is more acceptable than advocacy.
We had delays because of the CAC certificate. There was a new policy that said before you can operate POS, you must register with CAC. So that took us a while to organize it because the women are vulnerable women. So there's no way they could have afforded that 10,500 to register. So the ministry had to write to Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment to assist these women as part of the grant the federal government is giving.
We are willing to take this across the nation. We're looking forward to next week, hopefully, if we can really work with the Corporate Affairs Commission, roll this out.
The ministry is seeking for concession to enable us achieve their registration. So we need some administrative approvals from our permanent, our mother ministry.
The 37,000 POS empowerment, among other initiatives of the ministry, is designed to improve the livelihood of women across all the states of the Federation. Ngozi Teknikio, NTA News.
The Plateau State Gender and Equal Opportunities Commission says it has so far received 34 cases of gender-based violence and has expressed commitment to ensuring that such cases are reduced to the barest minimum in the state. Ijoma Zemina reports.
One of the major mandates of the Plateau State Gender and Equal Opportunities Commission is to ensure that all forms of gender-based violence are eliminated in the state. The Commission, since inception, has received more than 30 cases of gender-based violence, such as battery, abandonment of parental responsibility, child labor, and trafficking, as well as forced prostitution. Other criminal cases range from rape and the syndrome of selling children.
Able to track, with the Ministry of Women Affairs, to track children of Plateau that were sold outrightly to orphanages in Abuja and return them. Our girls today are in the news, being trafficked to areas like Ghana. Some are in Lagos, some are in different cities in the name of house help syndrome. That is another area that we are currently researching and trusting that we will push it to His Excellency to probably make it an executive order to outlaw issue of house help syndrome.
Plateau State, according to the Commission, ranks 4th in the cases of child labor.
We've confirmed through our investigations that these ladies travel to sell out the children outrightly. We've made a lot of arrests, and they are currently at the state CID. Some of them have started, appearing in courts for different levels of prosecution.
To curb the trend, the Commission is engaging strategic partners through increased awareness and sensitization. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
Manyara Bridge in Mashegu local government area of Niger State, which links the north and southern parts of the country, has collapsed following heavy rains that lasted several hours. Kabir Abdullahi reports that the disaster also washed away farmlands and rendered residents of the affected communities homeless.
The Manyara Bridge, located on New Busamoko Highway, is also a major link to about 50 other communities in both Mashegu and Magama local government area of Niger State. Farmlands and about 100 houses, 3 vehicles were washed away by the flood, including casualties. Chairman of one of the council areas affected by the natural disaster also paid an assessment visit to the area to empathize with the people of the affected communities.
So this is our gateway to and fro. Without this bridge, you can't go in, you can't come out. And a lot of business activities, economic activities are grounded.
The rain started about 2 a.m. all through the night till 12 p.m. on Friday, causing extensive damages to houses, building and infrastructure. We are hereby calling on both Niger State government and the federal government to intervene as a matter of urgency. I've been living in this community for almost 7 years. I have not seen a thing like this. The incident is very devastating. Meanwhile, staff of the State Management Emergency Agency and other volunteers are already on ground to ascertain the number of casualties and level of destruction. In Obusa, Kabir Abdullahi, NTA News.
Let's now get a check on Monday's weather prospects in Nigeria and some other world cities. And the weather report concludes the news on NTA International. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.